I'm Tania Rogers, and you're listening to Mindful Hustler, the podcast helping entrepreneurs get out of their heads and onto building their dreams. Together, we're building businesses while balancing minds. Let's dive in.
In this episode, we sit down with Salimah Scott, the founder and CEO of Urban Glo, a New Jersey-based candle and self-care brand. Salimah shares her journey from creating her business out of a labor of love and passion, and how she went from launching with only 3 candle scents and a dream to now being featured in various news outlets, owning a brick-and-mortar store, offering well over 16 candle scents, various candle collections, and providing candle making night out experiences. We explore the challenges of balancing motherhood and entrepreneurship, and how her commitment to self-care and authenticity has fueled her business to the success that it is today. Salimah, welcome to the show. So excited that you're here.
Thank you for having me. I'm honored.
I know it's been a minute to get you here. You're booked and busy months out, well in advance. So you can't imagine how deeply appreciative and grateful I am for you coming to chat with us today. It's going to be a really good one.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So I want to start from the beginning. What sparked the idea of Urban Glo, and how did your personal experiences influence the mission and the product?
So I started Urban Glow in my kitchen where I'm sitting at right now. I was going through a transitional period in my life. I had just finalized my divorce, and I was just kind of like rebuilding myself and finding ways to pour into myself and practice more self-care. That definitely was lacking at that time. So I would just light candles. I have my little ritual at night. I would just kind of light candles and listen to music and go out in my backyard and just enjoy that. Um, because I never really did that. So that was kind of like my way of just getting back into me and relaxing and decompressing. I'm a mom of 2 kids in 2019. This is all pre-COVID. I just wanted to tap back into myself, and eventually I ran out of all the candles that I had in the house and decided to just create my own. So I went online, I did a little bit of research, I figured out how to make a candle, I made a batch, I gave them out to family and friends, let them try it. And I had this idea like, oh, I want to actually start a candle business. And it was a crazy idea.
Yeah.
And crazy in a sense because, I'm in the accounting field, that's my career, right? So for me to go from that to like wanting to actually make a candle, God bless my family and friends. They're like, oh, okay. Another one of your ideas. But I'm like, I'm serious. I want to start a candle company. So that's what I did. So as far as the name and everything, it just started coming to me, the name, the logo, the same labels and like branding I had back when I officially launched in 2020. I still have them till this day because it was a well thought out process for me because I really took my time with it. But that's pretty much how I started, just trying to pour back into myself and in turn pouring into so many others just by having the business and having the space now. So it's just, I consider a community hub.
It's so crazy. I talk to so many people who have started their business during COVID, including myself. That's when I officially launched my business as well. But COVID really just did something to us all. Like we were just all really going through it. And I love that we all share that story of like out of that fire, we all built something beautiful. And also you shared you were going through some other changes. You had finalized a divorce, and it sounds like you really turned your pain into passion and then into profit. Really. So amazing.
Yeah. Definitely. I mean, and the thing is, I started the business like 6 months before COVID even happened. So I already had like the business name, I had the logo, I had like all the ideas that I wanted for the business. But life got in the way, of course. And I just kind of sat on it for months. And then COVID actually happened. And I said, well, let me actually launch the business and see what happened. I mean, we're just sitting around the house doing nothing. So all of March of 2020, I sat on my phone, I created my website. And April 1st, 2020, I just put my 3 candles out there, see how it would go. And here we are today.
What were you thinking when you actually took the idea to the public? What was going through your mind when you actually had that public offering now?
When it comes to that and seeking approval or validation or hoping that people like your product, my foundation is my family and friends. So during that time, that's pretty much who I have now. That's all I have now, but those are the people that I look to when I first started to like, okay, do you like it? I would give them samples and like just wait for their approval. So that's who I looked for and look to. Even now when I'm trying out new products, I'll like let customers try it, but then it's like my family and friends, I just kind of like, hey, try this. Let me know what you think. They get the free products because I'm always giving them something to test out. But when it comes to that, even now I create to satisfy like, okay, I like this. Let me see if other people like it too. And then, some people take to it and some people don't. And everybody's like senses are different. So I get that. I understand that, but that's not necessarily a driving force. I just create and put it out there and hopefully it's received. Like that's kind of how I approach things.
That's such a great point, and it really speaks to the power of community. I think so many people sleep on
Really.
community and looking to your left and to your right for, feedback. That's a very
Yes.
valid point. And I think that, yeah, I think people really don't realize the actual community around them. And it doesn't have to be the same type of people in the field. It could just be people that are interested, right? Like your parents, your siblings, your friends.
Because I think the common ground with all of it, even if you're not in the fragrance industry, even if you're not a creator, everybody love a good smelling home. Like that's the main thing. A good smelling home, good smelling space, somewhere that's relaxing, that's calming. And that's what it was for me from the beginning. Just crafting candles at my kitchen stove. I just, and listening to music and vibing out and that's just always been my creative process. So even now till this day, I can't create without music or like silence. Like I can't do it. So, but when it comes to others who are not necessarily making the candles, they want a product that actually smell good and make them feel good. So that's the main thing.
Absolutely. You're selling the transformation. I know for me, I don't do anything sacred and spiritual and transformational without some candles. No, when I'm in the room, I have candles lit now. When I'm in the room and I'm even, virtual on a therapy session, my candles are lit because it just sets such a nice, relaxing tone. And I know if I'm relaxed, I do a better job at showing up for my people. So yeah, I
Right.
couldn't agree more. It's so important. How did you balance your full-time job and running a business and being a mother? What is that balancing act like for you?
It's still a balancing act. Do I ever get it right? No. But
Yeah.
I know I definitely had to learn I definitely had to learn how to separate the three. So my full-time job, my business, and also my kids. I have to separate things. I sometimes I bring the kids to the shop with me and they're like, they're there. And sometimes I don't because they're still kids. So it's like, okay, they're out doing an activity with a family friend or just family that can give them a fun experience while mommy's working.
Hmm.
So definitely just separating all of those things and then also too leaning on my village, to help me out. Without them I couldn't run the ship. So, that's how I balance it. Just and even now as the business is growing, just making sure I carve out days for myself to practice my own self-care. In my space, I be pouring to so many people, but you have to have that time to reset too. So I
Yes.
just make sure I take that time. So I feel like earlier in the week, I reset. I'm still always working in my head, but I'm not physically doing anything. It's either that
Yes.
and then hanging out with my family and friends, or I just that's my reset time. I feel like towards the end of the weekend, I'm like I'm on. Early in the week, I'm off. So that's how I found my balance over the years.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely have had to learn to separate as well. I find that entrepreneurship, it's a full-time thing as well. Like you said, you're always on in your head. So someone may see me just like sitting at the park with my kids and I'm on my phone. And in reality, I'm actually like researching something and or writing something, emailing someone back, and still having to keep an eye on my kids. And then at times I'm like, okay, you know what? Like I actually really just need to be present for my kids now, because they can tell
And
sometimes
turn it
too,
off.
like, yeah, they'll be pulling at, me, especially my 3-year-old, mommy, mommy, mommy. And they can sense, they'll get louder. So it's a juggling act.
That's
It's a
always the
juggling act for
case. When
sure.
you're on the phone or doing something, they're the loudest. They want to talk to you the most. They want all of your attention. When it's just you, not on the phone, just there, lump on a log, they have nothing to say.
Oh my goodness. It's so true. Now, what does your self-care routine look like nowadays? Do you still light your candles and put music on and find joy in making the candles? Do you have other rituals or routines? What do you like to do?
Well, definitely my first and foremost is definitely the making the candles, that process. So that's still my routine. I
Mm.
haven't, put that on anyone else. I still do all of that. But as far as how I step back from the business aspect of it, I go to the spa. I love a good spa day. So go there, hanging
Me
out at the
too.
spa or like just doing. Yes, I love me a spa day. So I'll do that, put that into my calendar. And then even now I find during the summer I'm trying to put in like once a week to have like a beach day. So I was like, all right, this month let me try to carve that in there. And then also just doing fun activities with my friends. Like that's my decompression right there. So as long as we can hang out and laugh and carry on, I'm good. Hmm.
So what was that process like, going from launching the 3 candles to then now having a store and creating experience for people? What was that journey? How did you get a storefront? Because I know for some people that's like the biggest hurdle. And also for some people they want to just jump right there. And I'm sure that there's so many different steps in between. What was that like for you?
Yeah, yeah. I definitely took my time with that. At first when I started the business, that wasn't like on the radar. It was 2020. We could barely even talk to anybody or touch anybody. So I was shipping everything on, throughout the country. I'm like on Instagram and social media. Like that's how I really connected with people. And just doing markets. Definitely in 2021 when we had the chance to actually go back outside. I started doing markets and just really putting the brand name out there and just being a part of and being connected with a lot of just fun events. Like that's my thing. I just like doing fun events. But the transition from the
Yeah.
3 candles to then I actually increased my selection by like 9 candles in 21 because I came out with a whole new collection, so that increase and a lot of the stuff I came out with in 21, it's still here till this day. So I just take my time with
Mhm.
creating new candles and new candle scents. I'm not one of those that create something every month. I feel like people need to get the first thing real good before you start creating other things. So I really take my time with that process. So
Yeah.
the growth of having a full collection of candles, about 16 of them over the last 5 years, I've really taken my time with that. Just that's my creative process with growing the collection and then, transitioning into the retail space and then offering the candle making experiences. Again, it took me a lot of time to come around to that. I wasn't, I had people over the years like asking me, oh, do you offer candle making experiences? But it wasn't really a thing in, I'll say like 21, 22. But like eventually people did start asking me and I'm like, I don't know about that. Like I just I really didn't connect with it. And I feel like I can't do anything that I don't truly connect with. Eventually I said, well, let me try it out. And who I tried it out on were my family and friends. I literally set up my kitchen and had my friends make candles in my kitchen. They actually made a dessert candle, so I don't even offer that service, but they made a
Mhm.
dessert candle. So they made a cherry based candle with vanilla whipped cream on top. So they had, right.
Wow. You can eat it? They can
Yes.
actually
So
eat it? That's so
no,
cool.
no, you can't eat it. But you know how those people make the dessert candles that look like a cookie or that look like a cake, and
Oh,
I
look,
had them make
look
a
at me.
dessert
I'm like,
candle.
oh, you can
Yeah.
eat it.
No.
I see. I see. Okay. So
Yes, so
it
they
looks like a
have,
dessert, and I'm sure it smells like a dessert. Okay, got it.
yes, yes. Hey, so that was like really my first candle making experience. And that went well with them because again, I lean on them for when I'm like releasing new products or want to try new things. So that went well. So I said, okay, well, I was in the Goldman Sachs program at that time in 2023. And, I was just trying to like brainstorm and think
Mhm.
about different things to incorporate and do in my business. And I said, you know what? Let me try the candle making experience. So while I was still in the program, like I think like a week or two before I graduated, I did my first candle making event. And I didn't have my retail space at the time. I was working with a local business that graciously offered me their space and let me have events over and over again there. So I had my first event there and I've just kept consistently having the events. And then mid 2023 is when I came across my retail space. Again, I wasn't expecting to get that. I was actually terrified to get the space that I had because it was actually another business and it night and day. So I had to do a lot of work to build it up to what it looked like now. And but I was definitely scared about that. But how I came across my retail space, I had been peeking over the years at different spaces. And of course, fear played a part. And I'm like, what am I going to do with a space? But once I started incorporating the candle making experience and and growing my collection, I said, well, I have enough to offer. So let me just go out on faith and do that. So I have been peeking at spaces over time, not really committing to anything. And this space came up. Again, I was scared. I had to go home, pray on it, think about it. The person that like helped me get it was like, he kept calling me like, do you want it? Do you want it? And eventually I decided to take it. And here we are now, almost 2 years in my space. I can't believe it.
Mhm. Wow. Yeah. Isn't that something that fear can really, really hold us back? Well, even when things are just in front of us and someone is giving it to, it's like, oh, can I really do it? Is it really for me? Can I really pull this off? And you did. And you did.
By the grace of God.
And
I'll tell you that
what
much.
was that Goldman Sachs program?
The 1 Million Black Women in Business program by Goldman Sachs. So you
Mhm.
apply, I want to say it's twice a year they have applications. There's a fall session and then a spring cohort. So I think they're on like cohort, gosh, I graduated in cohort 3. I feel like it's going so fast. They're probably at like maybe 6 or 7 at this point. But it's a program that's growing that definitely has a strong name for itself and definitely changed how I view my business. I really view myself as a
So it's
CEO
basically a
now.
business accelerator.
Yes, so it's a business accelerator program. They have different but like I said, they have different cohorts and they're definitely teaching you all aspects of how to, scale your business. So the main thing is just helping you scale your business. And they have a lot of tools, a lot of resources to help you do that. And it's really what you make of it, Like they'll give you all the information you need and they work with some top companies to make sure that the women entrepreneurs have all the resources that they need.
Love that. Thank you for that resource. That's amazing. And I know it's definitely going to help a bunch of people out because resources are key too. I think resources and then mindset is key because it's like you can have all the resources like we just said and then your mind is like, can I really do it? Can I really do it? And then you get in your own way. But we do have to have that community and that resource center to really show us the way, show us the path that someone else took and allow us to follow in other others' footsteps of how they scaled their business. Because sometimes it's like you don't know what you don't know. And so what advice would you give someone who's looking to turn a personal passion into a business?
Definitely get a mentor. I would say that you may not have one accessible at the time, but eventually definitely find some kind of mentor, business advisor or something that can kind of help you along that journey. And again, that person doesn't necessarily have to be in your field that you're in. If you're a creator or like whatever your field is. They don't necessarily have to be in that field. Just someone who can really give you sound advice throughout the process, because entrepreneurship can be lonely. It can be lonely. You need somebody that's going to be
Yes.
there by your side. So that, and
Yes.
then also just pouring into your craft and focusing on what you do, and don't compare yourself to anyone else. Like, it's your journey, it's your process. You want to create the most authentic creation of whatever you're doing. So you have to stay tapped into yourself. So I definitely would recommend that. And definitely becoming financially savvy or literate, because some people are like, "Oh, I could just run the business and I don't want to worry about the numbers." You need to worry about your numbers. So that's definitely a piece of advice that I would give. Stay in
Mm-hmm.
your numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Stay in your numbers. You have to see what's working, what's not working, what you can switch up. You have to know your costs. If you're selling a actual product, you have to know your cost of goods.
Mm-hmm.
So you gotta stay in your numbers.
That's great advice, especially coming from an accountant. I will take it. I take, good advice from professionals. And sometimes that's the hardest part too, is like the things that you don't know, the fear of figuring it out. And as I always say, turn to a professional, right? Like maybe you don't have the money and the resources right now to hire a professional, but there's so many resources online too. Maybe you can't hire a mentor right now, but you can have a mentor in your head, right? There's books, there's people that offer advice all the time on YouTube. Well, I would say definitely find someone credible, like a professional. But, you can find mentors anywhere. You don't have to know them in person. But I agree with you. Finding
You don't.
that guidance from a professional, it's really key.
And then building the relationships too are important. The one thing I was definitely told while being in the program, the Goldman Sachs program, um, it's this is definitely a paraphrase, but it's definitely good to build relationships that aren't necessarily transactional, right? So you come across a whole lot of people, and you don't necessarily need a business arrangement with them in order to connect with them. Like, just connect with people. Just build relationships with people, because you never know over time how you all can help each other. And then sometimes you probably can't help each other immediately, but it may not be a good fit, but still build those relationships.
What advice would you tell your younger self, the person who was scared to take that leap of faith to start this business? What would you tell her?
I would tell her, "Girl, you're going to be okay. Just do it. Just do it." Because I was definitely that kid that was shy, that was bashful, that did not like to speak in public, that would like hide. I did not use my voice. Like, I really didn't. I was not one of those kids. So definitely telling my younger self that it'll be okay. Just go ahead, go do it. That's pretty much how I've operated my life. I've been scared to do a lot of things, but I've just did it and see what happens. So when it comes to like my creative process, when it comes to running a business, when it comes to, I just put myself out there. I'm comfortable with what I did, and I see where it land. That's it. That's all I can really
Uh-huh.
do. And that's how I stay true to me.
One more question. What does hustle mindfully mean to you?
I would say you are building your dream with ample rest in between. You can't run yourself in the ground. So you have to be mindful of the self-care that you actually need in order to build your empire. So that's definitely how I feel like a mindful hustler is.
Thank you so much. This was an amazing chat. Thank you for all your wisdom and your insight. I will be at Urban Glo soon purchasing some candles, because when I ran into you the other day and I smelled them, they're amazing. They're amazing. Wait, what's your favorite scent actually?
Cool, that's a hard
What's your
one.
favorite scent?
It depends on the day. It depends on, I'm telling you, I all of them are good in their own way. So like, if I'm like right now, I have like signature number one. That's lavender and bergamot, right? I have that in my kitchen. And then sometimes I'll light my signature number four, which is like patchouli and vanilla. You don't really expect for patchouli to belong in a kitchen, but it actually smells good in the kitchen. I don't have a favorite. I like all of them. I really do. And I'm not saying it because I make them, but I like all of them in their own way. I really do. Yeah, but what candle actually helped me build even more confidence as a candle maker is classic number three. That's my sandalwood kisses. Once I made that, I was like, I'm a real candle maker. You can't tell me anything. I can mix and blend.
That's the one I'm gonna try first then. And I definitely I
Yes.
wanna add this in. And I forgot about this story. I actually started to I think I told you this when I ran into you a couple months ago at NJ Pack. My husband and I were experimenting with candles because I love candles. You know, I was like, oh, maybe I'll incorporate them into my studio. Girl, it was so much harder than I thought. My throat scent was so up. I was like, I can't even smell anything. It was
It's
terrible.
not
But my friends and family were so supportive. They did buy them, but it's not easy. It's not easy. So I'm going to definitely indulge and come get some of yours.
thank you.
So again, thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so much for being here. And
Thank you for having
I'll be
me.
seeing you soon. Yes, yes. And where can people find you? I'll link it in the show notes, but where would you say is the best place to find you?
You can find my shop in Union, New Jersey at 1419 A Stuyvesant Avenue. And then also online at urbanglowbrand.com. That's glow without a W. And then also on Instagram at Urban Glo Brand.
Thanks so much for listening. If you like this episode and you don't want to miss another, make sure to subscribe. See you next time.